What's up, guys? Skip Your Africanus here, and in today's video, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna flat out fucking complain. And what I'm gonna complain about is this shit right here that Beretta announced will be coming to the civilian market down here in the United States. So last night, after finishing a script for a video that actually should have been the one that was posted today, my brother informed me of a new PCC made by Beretta potentially coming to market. Now, do note that this gun was not initially designed as a civilian-owned PCC. This actually comes from a submachine gun design that they've had out since about 2017, but they made a civilian legal semi-auto version, and they're actually already being sold in Italy from what I heard, and well, they're potentially coming to the US. But anyways, my brother informed me that, yeah, again, Beretta made a new PCC, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually got pretty fucking giddy when I heard about that, because in my mind, I was expecting something of like an improved CX-4 Storm. Like, maybe not an exact copy, but I mean, something that is along the design that is close to a CX-4 Storm, which to my viewers should kind of come as no surprise that number one, I would be excited about a Beretta product in general, and that number two, part of that excitement would be, I think it's going to be an improved version of the CX-4 because, well, obviously, I'm very, very fond of the CX-4 Storm, because of course, you know, they're great guns. I would personally argue they are the best PCC on the market right now. There is one competitor that might actually be about as good, if not possibly better, and I do expect to get my hands on one of those quite soon. But of course, as it stands right now, until I get my hands on that other gun, the Beretta PX4, or CX4, my bad, Storm will continue to be my main gun that I take to matches. Which, you know, that being said, if I like the gun so much, well, why do I want an improved version? Well, you know, as with everything else, nothing's ever perfect, and there was definitely some improvements that I feel they really could have added to the Storm to really just, well, improve it a lot more. Like, specifically, I would have liked them to really improve the trigger system, just do a complete overhaul, because the way the Beretta CX-4 Storm's trigger is, you really can only get it so light, and it's still going to be kind of heavy. Which I myself am used to actually very heavy triggers. Funny enough, I find shooting Nagant revolvers fairly comfortable, but you know, when it comes to competition, I always want like even the slightest advantage, and having a lighter trigger would be really nice. So essentially, yeah, I was just expecting, you know, an improved CX-4, if you will. Again, not maybe like a total copy of a CX-4, but something that is built in this style. However, what I saw was this. Now, what is my issue, or rather issues with this gun? Well, it certainly isn't the aesthetics. I'll give it that. These do look cool as hell. Definitely a breath of fresh air in the aesthetics market, because, you know, what you mainly see is stuff like AR-9s, which are boring as hell, if I'm gonna be honest. Not that they're shit guns, of course. It's just, I like seeing a little bit different guns when it matches, and it'd be cool if this one caught on, just to see something different. But what are my issues with this gun? Well, my main issue with this gun is that there is zero reason that any PCC made should not store the magazine in the pistol grip. Absolutely none. This has been one of my major pet peeves whenever I see a new PCC come to market, and I've genuinely tried to find cons to doing it that way, and time again have come up with none, and yet they keep doing this shit. Allow me to go over the benefits of having your magazine placed in the right spot, the pistol grip. First and foremost, compactness. The CX-4, which, as I said, is the pinnacle of PCC design, uses a 16-inch barrel, and yet is able to be much shorter than if you were to throw a 16-inch barrel on this, which, for reference, this is actually a 6-inch barrel. However, I still feel this is rightfully in the realm of what we're complaining about today, and in fact, here is my 10-inch 458 SOCOM SBR. Now, obviously, this isn't a PCC, but a 9mm AR SBR, or if you had a brace on it, is going to come at around the same length. Notice they are damn near the exact same length as each other, with the CX-4 not needing to sacrifice any barrel length, as mentioned before, as a 16-inch barrel, whereas, again, mentioned that this is a 10-inch barrel, and as also mentioned too, now mine, of course, is a legal SBR with the tax stamp and all that, but if you had a brace like a lot of people tend to put on, say, their AR-9s, or what I imagine a lot of people are going to be doing if this gun actually does come out to market, because it doesn't seem like it's totally coming to market, but it seems like it is going to market, if that makes sense. But I imagine a lot of people are actually putting braces on these, which will come to around the same length and is in relation to what we're talking about. Anyways, keeping in mind what we're talking about with this being a 16-inch barrel and this one being a 10-inch barrel and being nearly the same length, let's say I wanted the military MX4 variant of the CX4, or rather a copy of it, as this one's not fully automatic like the MX4. Doing that by getting the SBR stamp, all that other bullshit, and then cutting down the barrel to a proper MX4 length would land me with a 12-inch barrel, and again, be a lot shorter than this 10-inch barreled SBR right here, and at the same time, I get 2 extra inches. Essentially, it's like a bullpup, where you have a fairly long barrel but a very compact weapon. Unlike a bullpup, however, you are not sacrificing on reload speed. Reloading PCCs of this nature can be done just as fast as a standard AR-9, or more in relation to this video, the Beretta PMX. Add to that, all your controls can be placed at thumb's reach. Kind of think of it like a big handgun. If anything, reload speed is actually going to be faster on a PCC of this design. Granted, there are attachments you could buy to bring the controls like the bolt release closer to your one hand. So I won't totally harp on these being faster to reload depending on the circumstances, but in general they will be at least the same in reload speed with, again, the perk of a more compact weapon. Now, as mentioned, I have researched this specific topic a few times trying to find cons to having your PCC set up like this, because despite me noticing a better ease of handling with guns like this, maybe there is a reason or reasons that most PCCs, or rather subguns in general, are not designed in this way. I mean, subguns built like this have been around for a good long while, and again, while from my experience I find them to be superior, maybe there's something I'm missing out on, because surely if these are truly better, we would see a lot more subguns and PCCs built like this rather than like this. And from what I find, there are 2 issues I'll put in quotation marks. One issue is the one that when I ask the question, why not have the magazine in the pistol grip, usually it's the one response that I hear from people. Whereas the other issue was one that I actually found myself while doing some research on guns like the 9mm AUG, the Vityaz, and stuff like that. Now, the first issue I will mention is actually nonsense. I mean, it's actually kind of a reasonable thing to think about. I myself actually took it into consideration when I was first selecting my PCC. So it's not fully stupid to think of it. Like, it's more one of those things that as you actually shoot the gun, you just later find out. Anyways, what this issue is going prone and having the magazine interfere with, your aiming and stuff like that. And I will say that, this is totally untrue, and I have had to try this out numerous times at 2-guns. I've run this gun in quite a few 2-gun matches, and I have never had any single issue caused by the magazine's placement while going prone. And note, this is where I really should notice this issue, as typically I'm shooting at targets up to 200 yards away, which is pretty much at the 9mm limit, and likely makes you think that due to the magazine's placement, I won't be able to aim my gun as high while in prone versus if the magazine were placed here. And while that is technically true, I can arc a gun with the magazine placed here a lot more. It's well past the needed amount of actual arcing needed. Like, if I genuinely needed more of an arc versus what I've done shooting at 200 yards, and again, do note that I flat out do not need more of an arc, but if I did, I still have plenty more room to be able to do so. There's actually a lot of space between the magazine and the ground. I mean, again, it's really never been an issue, and I don't think it ever really would be an issue. And again, speaking back into the realm of reality rather than what if, I don't need to arc my gun that much to shoot out to 200, which really is the furthest extent a 9mm is gonna go anyway. So all in all, no issue with, magazine interference while going prone. It's a non-issue. Now, the second issue, which I do understand, is ease of manufacturing. There are plenty of subguns and civilian PCCs based off of those subguns that are designed using an already existing platform. And they are done so in that way, of course, to reduce cost and time of manufacture. Guns like, the Vityaz and the 9mm AUGs come to mind, and while yes, a gun like the CX-4 is superior, I can understand not wanting to design and build a whole new subgun, rather just, use what you got and just modify it. Even though, again, as I keep mentioning, it would be an outdated way to actually build one. It would still work pretty alright. Although, as we can see with the PMX, it was designed from the ground up exactly like this. So that allowance of a lesser quality firearm, if that's a good way to describe it, obviously these are going to be great quality, Beretta makes them, but just in general, a less well thought out firearm, I guess is the best way to put it. That allowance is not applicable here. This gun was built from the ground up exactly like this. It's not built off of any other existing gun. Now, this is not my only issue with this new PCC coming to market, because there's certainly other areas where improvement is needed, and they only really did that for one other part that we will be mentioning later. My next issue with this gun is using the standard blowback operation as opposed to using a gas system. Now, this is something that, again, might sound like a weird thing to complain about, as practically all PCCs and subguns for that matter operate using blowback. The Beretta CX-4, which as mentioned quite a few times already, being my main PCC, is no exception here either. It also uses a standard blowback system. However, it is certainly something to bring up, because there is a world of difference in shooting with an actual gas system versus the standard blowback, even considering the low recoil a pistol caliber will have. Like, you shoot something like a SIG MPX, and it is genuinely astounding just how much better having that gas system makes the gun operate. And to be frank, had they done done something like that to this PCC, I had to give them a slight pass. But of course, they did not do that, and again, dropped another ball. Now, I will say overall, I don't particularly hate this gun, but I am very disappointed they didn't just take their CX4, which again, best PCC on the market, and just improve it. Though there is one little pro that I did mention earlier that I'll give the Beretta PMX, aside from, again, looking pretty damn cool, and that is the decision to use double feed magazines. Like, they were at least smart enough to not make these things take single feed pistol mags, like say Beretta 92 mags that the CX4 again actually takes, because aside from having the magazine in the wrong spot, that's another big issue that bothers me with a lot of these PCCs on the market. Like, there is no reason to make your PCC take shit like Glock mags. It doesn't really help with sales as much as people want to boast about. If it really did, the 9mm AKs would, like, the ones with the Glock mags would be a lot more popular than Kalashnikov USA's KP9 that uses a proprietary magazine. And as we see, you almost never, or at least I personally, never ever see these things at ranges. I mean, these are kind of rare too, but I've seen way more Vityazes than I have these, and you know, these take Glock mags, and clearly they're being outsold by this. And to be honest, nobody I have ever met has bought a PCC solely because it took, say, Glock mags, and they had Glock mags on hand. I mean, sure, it's a perk they'll mention. I'm not saying people don't like it. It's definitely a perk that they always mention, but it's never been the main selling point for someone's decision to buy a PCC. Again, from what I've heard talking with various people, that is. And if you don't want to design a whole new magazine, which I totally understand given that's a pretty complicated task that a lot of people don't really think about, it's not like there isn't a bunch of double feed magazines on the market that you could make your PCC take. Some of them you might not be able to do, but maybe through modification you could, like something like an Uzi mag. Those are kind of weird. But you know, you got, I'll just mention it, you got Uzi mags, Mac 10 mags. You actually have Colt 9mm mags for their early 9mm ARs. So it's not even a question of, like, you know, having to design a whole new magazine, or even having to make your own proprietary magazine that people might be afraid of, you know, not being able to find, which again, as I mentioned, is never an issue. So yeah, as mentioned, at least Beretta got that right, using their own proprietary magazine that is double feed. But anyways, I think that is gonna do it for this rather long rant on Beretta's PMX that is potentially coming to the US market as a PCC. Again, these look cool as hell. I'm not even, you know, exaggerating when I say these really do look cool as hell. But to me, it's just such a disappointment that they have the prime of PCCs at the moment right now, and honestly, if you were to take something like this, maybe, you know, give it some double feed magazines, add a gas system, especially first and foremost, better trigger system, that's the first thing I would say to add. But if you were to really tweak with this design, it'd just be a really, really, really nice gun. But anyways, as mentioned, that is going to do it for this short little rant, and next week we'll be back to a more normal posting. And in fact, next week's video is actually more of like a preview for the week after that's video. I'm just going to say we got some more weird shit we're going to be posting on this channel. So anyways, stay tuned for that, and I will see y'all next time.